That is a splendid Out of Time opening track from the solo album Hope by Max Hunt. And I'm rather pleased to say that Max is joining me now. Hello, Max.
Hi, Paul.
How are you doing?
Good to speak again. Nice to see you online again.
It's great.
I'm doing fine. Yeah.
Good to talk.
Hope you are too.
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you, Max. Really good. The solo album then, hot on the heels of a rather marvellous band album. So what is what was the aim of this album and the concept of the album?
It's a little bit complicated, but I had a long-term plan to do this solo album. So it was a matter of finding the time, and I've got lots of time at the moment. So that's one good thing. And I actually started pulling some ideas together of the project during the production of Beyond, the latest Fragile album. But they couldn't be worked on together, basically. So I went into that was finished and then finished this one. But what it does, it pulls together a mixture of new musical ideas and tracks that were never completed or never done as I wanted them to be done from previous projects that date, actually, in one case, as far back as 1999. But it includes tracks that come from demos that were sent backwards and forwards to do with a project that was started actually in 2007 with John Anderson. But sadly, obviously, we all know he became terribly ill during 2008. And I got a very surprising email back from him in 2009, actually with some vocals recorded to some of my ideas.
Right.
Which was amazing for me. That was great. That was my first real contact with him in 2009. But many of these ideas never came to fruition and were never finished. So I've reworked a lot of them. Also in 2009, I spent a week in Haddington with Fish, working on early demos of his 13th Star album.
Right.
Had a great time with him. He was a fantastic guy to work with. For me, he was just such a real person and so down to earth. It was a really lovely experience, actually. But again, I did get credited on the album, which was nice, but, and he was very good at how he dealt with me. But, shortly after I left, the few days work I did with him, John Martin's ex-keyboard player, Foz Patterson, actually paid a visit to Fish. And obviously it's always better for promoters to have slightly higher profile musicians working in bands with singers like Fish. Always better for them to sell tickets, So I wasn't really upset about it because Fish, the idea was I would be in the touring band with him on the 30 and finish the album with him. And that didn't actually happen. But the way he dealt with it with me was absolutely brilliant. Gave me a credit on the album as well. But again, there were several ideas that I put forward for that project that weren't done on the 13th Star album, on the Fish album, that I then wrote lyrics for and worked on early demos for around 2010 with what was going to be a new Tantalus album.
Ah, right.
But we really couldn't get a stable lineup in Tantalus at that time. And they ended up getting shelved. So I pulled those into this project. And it was very interesting to try and produce all this music, including new ideas, and work it all up to the same standard, the same sound, using similar instruments, similar sounds for this album. So it's actually a closure for me, basically, this album of lots of work. It's really interesting.
I was going to say, if you say that you were bringing all these ideas from different areas together, but the album doesn't sound like that. So you've obviously achieved
good. Well,
what you're after.
That's exactly what I hope to achieve. It's and a lot of the ideas have been changed. They've all had to some extent new lyrics written for them, new vocal melodies, everything re-recorded.
Yeah.
There's one interesting point is the song Christian and the Toad. I actually had a vocal that I'd done on an early demo of that I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't quite a good enough quality recording to actually use. So I tried re-recording the vocal to Christian and the Toad. And however I sung it still didn't have the same energy that original demo had. So I ended up actually using both the new vocal and the old together on the track. So it's double tracked, the lead vocal, and it's got the sort of energy of the first one and a bit better quality from the new one all together, and it works. So there's two of me on that.
Mm-hmm.
Two of me.
Cheaper, twice the price. Yes. So that's good. You've got two epic tracks over 9 minutes to close the album. Original Design and Shining Light. Again, those two again, long tracks with the typical Max Hunt styling. But again, they would have been. Can I put this question across? It's a great way to close the album. Was that again an intention?
Not really. No. I mean, Original Design nearly wasn't on the album. It was only in the last month of production that I decided to actually work that up to a finished point and include it on the album. Obviously, with that fairly long piano intro, which elongated a bit as well. With Shining Light actually originated as an idea that I sent to John Anderson in 2007.
Right.
In response to a request from him to send him a Yes opus.
Ah, right.
He sent me an email, said, send me a Yes opus. Right. Well, so I'm not, yes, that's the problem. But that's why it is, it's got several movements and several changes in it. But I don't think it's actually very like Yes at all, but he did like it at the time. And I've written new I mean, those new lyrics for that were actually written a few years ago. They're not new lyrics because, I just never had an opportunity to actually finish doing a recording and producing it properly for an album. So,
well, it is an absolutely splendid album, Max. And again,
thanks very much, Paul.
It's got everything for the prog rock fan and something else. There's a couple of the shorter tracks. One I'm going to play now, Limitless. It's got a real kind of wonderful. It's got a message, hasn't it? So
it has.
Yeah.
It has. I mean, it's really trying to portray what I regard as the dichotomy of humanity or the human condition. So on the one hand, being the worst vermin on the planet, and on the other hand, or the most destructive vermin on the planet. On the other hand, the capabilities we've got to transcend that and actually produce wonderful, amazing cultural things and spiritual things, so it's, I think, very much a sort of yin and yang sort of track. And you can hear, I think, there's sort of nastiness and anger in the grungy rhythm in the verses.
But that's I think that's what makes it stand out. It's a change from the wonderful flowing music from the album, and all of a sudden this comes in and almost slaps you in the face and says, "Hang on a minute,
shock." Yeah, right.
Someone listen to this." So, which is just brilliant for me. Album available through Bandcamp.
Yeah, it's available through the Fragile Bandcamp, which is fragileyestribute.bandcamp.com. fragileyestribute.bandcamp.com.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Just one quick thing I wanted to mention. The sound effects at the beginning of the first track on the album, Out of Time, are actually a recording I did on my phone of midnight on New Year's Eve this year.
Ah, right.
In the town where I live here in Erbach in Germany, the sort of cheers and whistles and fireworks going off. And I thought that would be fantastic way to open hope, because it was the town's hope for a better year in the future. So,
absolutely brilliant. So, not putting any pressure on you, Max, but what's the next project?
Well, I'm about 50% through through production of a new album with Clive Bailey.
Right. Yeah. Lovely.
We worked via the internet. He's the Mabel Greer Toy Shop co-founder and writer of Sweetness and Beyond from yes. So that's really interesting. I love working with Clive. So we're about 50% through that album.
Brilliant.
We've already got all the tracks underway. Some of them are more finished, some of them are less. He's been here for a week working on it with me a few weeks ago, and he'll be back in January, and we're hoping to finish it by February, and that should be out. We're hoping March, April time. We should have that album.
Yeah, we shall look forward to that. And Max, as always, it's been fantastic to catch up with you. Huge congratulations on a simply marvellous album, and best of luck for the future.
Many thanks.
Thanks, Max. Have a great New Year, sir.
And you. All the best.
Okay.
Cheers then.
In this timeline, you rape the planet.